Are you on?
Okay.
You there?
Nobody else? Nobody else yet?
No. I'm not sure how to.
Don't forget about the chat. Don't forget to tell them. Also tell them if they're new. Well, I'll just type that in. I was gonna say, if you want to tell them if they're new to the meeting, to let us know, for them to put their email address in the chat box. But I'll do that before the meeting's over.
Okay.
So it's recording now?
I think so. So I'm going to wait a few minutes and then I'll just, I think I got to accept everybody coming in, but we got, and you just went to that link, didn't you? Yeah, we got 15 minutes.
Yeah. Did you do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna print something off real quick. Can you see that?
What?
Okay. You just see me?
Yeah, it just says system dialogue. I see like my email.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, there.
Now you're gone. What'd you do?
Am I back now?
No, what I do? No. Oh, there you are. Okay, now you are. That was me. That's weird.
Okay, there.
Sage, are you sad?
Hi, James.
Hello. Oh, that's my dog. Is that Dolores or Elaine?
Elaine.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. You have a dog that may bark any minute also.
I'm gonna wait about 10 more minutes and then I'll start the slideshow.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the link was good.
Yep,
It is.
It is.
Hi, Christine.
She's the one that got the dog, so she put it on mute. She's outside.
Oh, okay. I see the mute button. Okay.
Everything going good with you?
Yeah, we're both doing well. David's been building a pond in the backyard.
Yeah. Y'all having any issues with any of your tenants as far as
Nope,
collecting?
everybody's paid for last month, and so we're a week and a half away from the next rental. I really like the automated system, though. I'm really interested.
Yes, I'm going to go over. I only got 4 slides to go over, but I'm going to go over some. There's Marcia. Some automated stuff, some old stuff. I'm going to try to rush through them to get to the automated stuff. I've actually just started using Cozy first time. Hey, Marcia. And then,
Started using what?
I just started using Cozy for the first time because I just bought a new house yesterday, matter of fact, and another rental.
Oh.
And then he uses Cozy, so I'm using Cozy. So.
Oh, okay.
But actually, I think it might. I'm going to test run him, and I might do more with Cozy opposed to another one. And I'll get into that when we get in the meeting and stuff. But so far, it looks pretty nice as far as landlords go.
A landlord got on the news recently because he went to the Where's My Check website. Did you hear about it?
No.
He went to the Where's My Check website that the IRS has.
This one's patients is Zoom, and patients can sign up for an appointment through the hospital's My New York Health app.
We
want to help the patients and
Are you still there, Elaine?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
The nuts and bolts of it was that he put in the guy's social security number and date of birth and found out that the check had been mailed to him. So he texted the tenant and said, where's my rent money? Or are you going to pay the rent money with the check that you got? What do they call it? What do they anyway, with the government check. And he says, how did you know I got it? Stimulus check. And he says, how did you know I got it? And he says, well, I checked the website. He said, you had to use my social security number. And the guy says, yep.
Wow.
So there'll be a legal matter on that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. So far, I've had good luck. I've had normal issues. I'm dealing with over 100 people, so I always got issues. But it's not that bad for me though. And so far, everybody's doing what they're supposed to do with the checks. But I think everybody's just still kind of nervous, to be honest with you. My tenants, I got low income tenants. I think they're just nervous every day about not having a job or something, just like everybody else. So.
Are most of your tenants, you say low income, are they on Social Security disability or?
Some of them are, and yes, some of them are. So actually, my the stimulus check is actually a pay raise for some of my tenants. So or equal to it. But lower income, I've got a small percentage Social Security, small percentage housing, and then a little mix. I've got a few middle class, upper class, but for the most part, it's lower income. But so far, everybody's doing good. So.
Good. Yeah, ours are doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, it's 6:30. I'm gonna unmute everybody to say hello, everybody but my wife, because she's got the dog.
Are you going to record this?
I think it is being recorded.
Okay, good. Good.
Just go ahead and let everybody know. My name is on this board on the message is Carl. So I'm up on a Carl Mullins as the host. That's me. So I'm Carl. So my name is James. So I think everybody I know on here knows me. So
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and get started. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to do collecting rent, and I'm going to go through some traditional methods, and I'm going to get into some of the automated stuff. I put together a small package to kind of help out, for the coronavirus era, and when we get out of the coronavirus era. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody, and I'm going to go through my little spiel of me, blah, 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 talking to everybody. And then my wife's got to pay attention to the message board. So if you got a question or if you want to talk about a certain subject, put it in a message board, and Christine's going to write your name down, and then I'll unmute you so we can talk, back and forth about, because I don't know all of these, methods. I only know the ones that I use. So I can only talk about the ones that I use, and then, but I use most of these methods. But putting this together, I thought this is a pretty interesting thing. Carl's the one who came up with. Hey, Carl.
Hey.
So I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody for a few minutes, and if anybody ever wants to say something, go to the message board. Christine's gonna let me know, and then we'll have a conversation there. I've only got about 4 slides to go through, and honestly, putting this together, it seems like I can talk 20-30 minutes on each slide. So I'm gonna kind of like speed through a couple of them to get to the automated stuff that I think people's more interested in, because of the day and age that we're in. So it's going to be a collection of rent and why we do it and stuff like that. But so I'm going to mute everybody. If you want to say something, again, say it in the message board. Christine's going to take a note for me, and then I'm going to mute you. And I hope everybody's doing it well during this time. It's kind of this is strange to me. I don't like this. I like interaction back and forth. So I hope I don't come across as being a robot.
Right here, you punch on Marcia right here.
So I'm going to start my meeting now. It's a little past 6:35. The meeting is going to be about collecting rent, and we're going to get to the automated stuff here in a second. Let's see here. Factors. One thing I'd like to make a note. This is a very important topic. I didn't think it was that important until I started looking into it. Paul wanted me to talk about automation, and I think that's the most important because of the coronavirus. But I think this is one of the most important things as far as collecting rent. As far as me as an investor, 3 things I do in my business, my personal business, is I keep my investment property in good order. I make sure my tenants follow the rules, and I collect rent. So it's very important to me how I collect the rent. I do a mix of a lot of different stuff, but there's things to consider when you're collecting rent. The number of tenants that you have. If you only have one, just pick one way to collect rent and just be done with it. They either do what you want or you find another tenant. I deal with over 100 now. I think I'm up to 105. So I do a mix of whatever I can. I collect the money however I can. I take rent probably like 6 different ways right now. But I do it as a business. If you only have like 10 or less, pick 1 or 2. Automation is very well. Since this whole coronavirus deal, I've gotten more automation than the old fashioned way, checks and cash and stuff like that. And there's pros and cons to all of it. The other things to consider is the distance from your rental properties. If you're close like I am, they can drive by and drop off a check. If not, you have to be automated. Your desire for interaction. I personally like hands-off transactions, arm's length transactions with my tenants, because every now and then I got to be mean. So I like that arm's length. But when it comes to collecting rent, since I've got so many of them, again, I do whatever I have to get the rent money in the register so I can make my bills. But if you only have, depends on your situation, you might have a different thought on that. Are you tech savvy? I'm somewhat tech savvy, but some of this stuff can get kind of complicated. You have to join these websites, this and that. If you only have 1 or 2, it's not a big deal. You only have 1 or 2 to learn from. I've actually, I have to learn like 5 or 6 different programs. I actually learned another one actually today, and I'll talk about that one in a minute as far as automation goes. And do you have an office? I have an office, so people could come by there and do it traditional method. If you don't have an office and you don't want to talk to them, automation is the way to go. Again, there's so much automation out there that is probably the way to start with, and then take the other ways if you have to. Again, I do volume. So I want to grab as much as I can. When it's there, I want to grab it. I don't want to take a chance. But that's me. That's the way I do my business. If I only had 10, I'd probably be doing it differently. I just only give them like 1 or 2, and then that's it. Also, factors to consider is, I didn't put this on here. The whole purpose of this meeting is the coronavirus. What environment you're in right now, it seems like you're going to have to go to automation. You're going to have to get away from the traditional methods eventually, especially at a time like this, if this keeps going on. We don't know how long it's going to last. Hopefully it ends soon. But this is making me think more automation than the hands-on transactions. But that's factors for you personally as your business, as your investment. You figure out how you want to run your own business. Let's see here. Next one. Traditional methods. I'm going to breeze through this really quick, and then I'm going to get to the automation. Again, we've only got an hour, and I didn't realize how in-depth this collecting rent is. But me, it's easy. I just collect it. But I'm going to go through these really quick. There's a couple things to pay attention to on the traditional methods. Checks. I just learned this. The difference between everybody knows personal checks. They either clear or they don't. You don't know that in a couple days, and then next thing you got a bounce check and stuff like that. I still deal with that bounce check stuff. But a certified check and a cashier's check, if you take those, the difference between a certified check and a cashier's check, which I did not know, is a certified check. That's just letting you know they have the money at the time of the issue of the check. But when you go to cash that certified check, doesn't mean it's still in bank. The cashier's check, that means the money's there and you're going to get it, and the bank already pulled out the money. So there is a distinction between certified check and a cashier's check. It's just something that I just found out putting this together. And personal checks. I take checks. I take all forms of payment. Again, I'll do mostly low income. So I just take it however they can get it, whatever the easiest method from them, because a lot of my tenants aren't tech savvy and don't understand the automation stuff. But there's ways to overcome that for those type of tenants if you still don't want to take checks. Cash, a lot of people think cash is good. I honestly think it's bad in several different ways. I still take cash, but cash actually costs money when you put it in the bank. They charge you for it. Over so much money, they charge you. Also, it's hard to keep track of. It's easy to lose, hard to keep track of. When it's in a cashier's check and stuff like that, there's ways to check that, verify it, and stuff like that. Because of cash, there was one transaction that happened about 4 or 5 years ago. There was a dispute over a cash transaction. They actually stuck it through the door, which should be their fault, but I took it and just took a loss on that. I put up cameras just because of the cash factor. In case somebody does put in cash, then I actually have a video of them actually doing that. And that way it gets away from the whole, somebody stole it and all this good stuff. So, cash, honestly, I don't think is the best way to take it. But if somebody walks up to my front door and gives me cash, I grab it, stick it in my register, and I give them a receipt. But there is a lot of drawbacks to cash. Money orders. The one thing I like to share with you about money orders is if you do take money orders, be careful. Tell your tenants to be careful where they get the money orders. Yeah, AmScott. I had a tenant of mine get one from AmScott. It's free from AmScott. Well, she said she put it in a door. We couldn't find it. And then she lost the receipt and she went back to AmScott. AmScott will not issue her money back without a receipt. So you lose a receipt, they won't go looking for it. That's it. If you go to the post office, at least if you lose your receipt, they'll look up your transaction and give you back your money. But AmScott, that free AmScott stuff, be careful. I always tell my tenants, if you go get the free money order through AmScott, make sure you keep the receipt. If you lose the receipt and I don't have it, you don't get a receipt from me, then you lost your money and that's on them. I actually had that personally done to me. So I personally don't like the money orders from AmScott anyways in cash, just because it's hard to handle and it's easy to lose and there's so many things that can go wrong with it. But still, I take all these methods. I don't cut out any of these methods. I'm trying to push my tenants slowly to the automation side of the of rent collecting, and that's the next slide. This is the next slide. I'm going to go over these. This is not all of them. There's several different ones out there. I think I probably have I don't know, probably about 60% of my business is somehow automated where we just push buttons and collect money. I think it's the easiest way. If you only have a couple, 10 or less, only pick a couple different ways and just have them do that way. Set your, well, let me go ahead and ask, anybody have any questions about the cash, about traditional methods? Any doing well? Missing? I'm going to get some questions in a minute. I'm going to try to, so I don't go over the hour. I'm going to talk more on electronic methods because I think that's most important. I just wanted to point out a couple of the drawbacks to traditional method. I still take traditional method, I take it, but I have an office, I'm close by, and I just grab it when they have it. So on the automation, the electronic, I actually use most of the stuff on this electronic method. ACH, electronic transfer. I use QuickBooks, so I send out invoices. They can pay by direct deposit transfer, or they can call me up, give me the deposit, give me their body number and account number, push a couple buttons, and then I can take their payment just like that. There is a fee with that. With mine, I think they just moved it up to $1 a transaction, which isn't bad. I also take Visas and MasterCards, but that also, there's more of a charge when you take the when you do automation, whether swiped or unswiped and all that. And it's in like 2.5% to 3% per transaction. You can always push it off to the tenant, but me as a business, me personally, I don't, because it's just too much accounting. And I just suck it up as overhead for my company because I just want them to pay. I don't tell them not to pay because there is a fee, with visas and stuff like that. As long as I get my money, I don't have to evict them, I'm good. And then if it's on the visa and stuff like that, that's for the visa to worry about them and get their money. I just want their money however I can. So I take bank transfers, visas, debits, and it's through Intuit and stuff like that. Online rent collection service, Cozy. That one, believe it or not, I just signed up today. I think Cozy might be a good alternative for me, for my tenants who don't like to pay the traditional methods, and it might be a good thing with Zelle because Zelle has its own drawbacks. So I signed up for Cozy today for the first time, and the reason I did that, I just closed on a rental house yesterday, and he pays with Cozy. So we called him up, asked him how he wants to pay. He's been paying Cozy. And I cater to my tenants. I'm a little bit different. I cater to my tenants. They got the money. I figure out how to collect it. But he's on Cozy, so I decided to sign up today. It's actually a pretty easy website to learn, and it's free to landlords. When I say free to landlords, as far as collecting rent, I just started using it, so I don't know too much about it. I don't have too much information. But they pay the fee. So if they pay with a Visa, debit card, or whatever, they pay Cozy the fee, and then Cozy gives me the $1,200 rent that I'm supposed to collect. So it's supposed to be free to me. I just started using it. They keep track of that. Cozy actually has a lot of other stuff on the website, tenant screening and all that good stuff, contracts. I don't need to get into all that because I do my stuff my way, but it is a good website to go to and look at if you're kind of like in between of websites and collecting rent. It's something to look at. I'm going to use it for this one tenant. If it seems like it's working, there's about 4 or 5 other tenants that I'm going to try to switch over from Zelle to Cozy, because Zelle has its own drawbacks. So electronic transfer, for the ones who just came on, we're talking about electronic payment methods, how to collect rent. Now we're on Zelle. I take Zelle myself, but this month I've had the hardest time with Zelle, and I just figured out why. Zelle is a weird program that only goes to your personal checking account. If you have a business checking account, the only way to get in that business checking account is, and it's free. It's a good one. But the only way to get into your business account is if you give them your checking account number. It won't go off your phone number. I mean, it's the way that Zelle is a third party with all the banks. It's a third party system. So the reason I'm saying this is Zelle. I got one tenant who's a Wells Fargo. He's got a Wells Fargo bank account. I have a Wells Fargo bank account. It goes right into my business account, no problem. But if I have somebody from like Chase, for example, they won't be able to put it into my business account. There's some banks that have a system that can't put it into your business account. It can only go to a personal account. So there's 3 tenants that actually putting it into my personal account, and I have to change it from my personal account to the business account. And it's a third party. It's the contracts that the banks have with Zelle that allows them not to do it the way that I want them to. So there's some drawbacks to Zelle. So don't think that you can just have Zelle and put it in the account. It's very complicated. It's for just to sign up for it, you got to go to one account. It's a personal account. Zelle is great. It's free, quick, easy, fast. I love it. I pay a lot of my contractors on my construction side. I've got probably about 10 contractors that I pay with Zelle paying out. But to receive payments, it's a little bit difficult to make sure you get it into the right account. And I've been working on it this week to try to get it straightened out. And I think what I might have to do is just switch from Zelle and go to a program like Cozy, because it might just work a little bit better. But Zelle's a good option if you have a personal account. I have a lot of different business accounts, and I try to keep them separate. And I don't want to put nothing in my personal account and then switching it over to my business. So I'm going to get rid of that quick. But different people run their business differently. On Venmo, I don't know much about Venmo. I've just read up on it. The thing that I have is that it has a 3% fee to business. I'm not that familiar with it. So if somebody pops up and say, hey, I have information on Venmo, I'll let you chime in. I'll let you talk about Venmo as far as, collecting rent and stuff like that. But I'm not sure. PayPal, I've used PayPal in the past. I'm not a big fan of PayPal, but I can see where if you only have a couple, PayPal is a good option. Matter of fact, that's what my Wells Fargo business account guy was talking today. He says that I can set up a PayPal account and it goes directly to my business and all this. And I have to be a PayPal account person, and he has to be a PayPal account person. If I'm going to do all that, I'm going to do a place like Cozy. Cozy's for landlords and tenants, and I'd much rather use something like that. And then I can always, use some of the other features that Cozy offers. So PayPal for me is not that good of an option. But if you're good at PayPal, some people are, and you only have a couple, then you sign up, they sign up, and you can collect rent that way. Square, I always thought that was a merchant account, but you can use it for anything. There is fees with that. I think the fees get kind of high, just kind of like Intuit, anywhere between 2.5% to 3.5%. I'm not really sure, but it's a merchant account. You set up a merchant account just like you do Intuit, and you kind of go that way. And I'm going to back up because I don't think I talked about Intuit to the full extent I want. So I'm on Square, but since we're talking about Square, Intuit, I use Intuit because I use QuickBooks. And I feel like I'm jumping around just because I'm not interactive. So I feel like I'm talking to a wall. But Intuit, it's free to sign up. It does have it's not free to business. I think that's wrong. Oh, there's a fee to business. So, to do a bank transfer, it's only $1. It used to be 50 cents. They moved up to $1. But to swipe it and all that good stuff, there is a fee to it. It probably matches up with Square, I believe, because I looked into Square as a merchant account for my company. And I think they're about the same, about 2.5% to 3.5%. And then I have a standard fee that I just charge everybody, if I do charge them. So Square, Intuit, I think are about the same. Apple Pay, I do not know much about that. The only thing I do know, in order to get Apple Pay, you must be an Apple customer and they must be an Apple customer. So I don't know if that would work for most people because you got to dictate to what phone they have. My wife's an Apple person. I'm not an Apple person. So, I'm not really sure if that's going to be a good viable option. And that's another thing to consider too. Try to pick one that you're going to have to live with for the next 5-10 years, so you don't have to keep switching programs. I switch programs all the time, but I try to cater to my tenants. But I feel like my only job is to collect rent. So however they got it, I'm going to try to figure out a system to make it easy for them to transfer it over to me. And in this one, give them your deposit slip. I think Carl does this one. Give them a deposit slip. I think what he said is he gives them 12 months worth of deposit slips, gives it to them, and then they go to the bank and does it directly. That's a viable option. I know a couple other people, I think in the past, that said they did that. I like to be in control, pushing buttons and know what's happening where. With Intuit, I get emails and texts. Cozy, I get emails and texts. I just started that today. Zelle, I get emails and texts whenever something happens, and I don't have to go searching for anything. But that is a viable option, and I think it's worth looking into. I'm speeding, going this pretty quick, but that's just going to leave more for questions. So There's a lot more than this. These are a bunch that I've done. Let's see what she says. Let's see what she says. Look at the, okay, let me see here. Okay, okay. Hey, Elaine,
Yes,
what do you,
David's
you
here
wanted to
too.
know about the Cash App?
yes. Have you used that?
I've never used it. Has anybody on here ever used the Cash App?
We've used the Cash App, James.
Oh, you do? Okay, well, tell us about it.
We got one tenant that uses it. We did have a couple of them, but one, and it's done with your phone number rather than your bank account number. And you do get a text when they make the deposit. So for us, it's worked really good. There's no charge to it.
Except if you want to get the money right away in your account.
Right, yeah, you have, that's right. There is a 3-day delay, I think it is. It's got to be business days, 3-day delay before they put the money in your account. If you want it right away, there is a fee for it. The fees are about like $10, $13, pretty expensive. But if you can wait, get your tenant to pay it ahead of time, then you get, then there's no charge.
Yeah. So the Cash App, is it through your bank or is it a separate website, a third-party website?
It's on your phone. It's
It's an
It's on
app.
your
it's
phone.
an app for your phone.
Okay, so it's a phone app. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right.
That's something to look
Right.
into. That makes it definitely easy if it's on your
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, it's been great for us.
So Cash App is another one. What else do y'all use? Y'all just use Cash App? What different ones do y'all use?
Just the Cash App, cash and checks.
Cash and checks. So I'm gonna mute you now, David. Thank you.
Okay, let me say one more thing real quick.
Go ahead.
We have given deposit slips to tenants
That's true.
when we've been out of town, for instance, and they pay by cash. We give them a deposit slip and they make the deposit at the drive-up window, which
Yes,
I would like to do that even more.
I think Carl does that. And I almost did that years ago. And the only reason I don't, I just got too many. And I'd go crazy trying to give out deposit slips and checking up on them and all that good stuff. And I think some people get to wear deposit slips in different accounts. So I think it depends on where you're at in your business and how you want to run it. But that is a
Right.
very good one. Years ago, I was going to do that. I think I did that when I just had one rental house a long time ago. But I know several people that do that the same thing. You're not the only one, I think, Carl, and I think somebody else said that. So yeah. How many of y'all managing now? I know y'all get rid of some. Are y'all collecting more now?
Yeah, we're down to 6 now. Yeah, we're dropped down to 6.
That's still pretty good though. So you're down to 6 and you collect money 3 different ways: cash, checks, and then a Cash App.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And the Cash App person always does it early.
Okay.
So by the time the first of the month comes, the money's in the bank.
Well, that's good. Early's
Yeah.
good. I wish I had that
Early
problem.
is nice.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem. Early, some late, some I don't know. So, but yeah. All right, David, Elaine, I'm going to jump off here and see what else somebody else said. Hi, boom, boom. Cash App, Elaine. So I'm going to go to this last slide, and then I'm going to back up, and I'm going to try to ask for questions. And this one is just, so what do you do? This is good. I like talking to different people to see how they do different things. I switched, pick a payment method or accept a variety of formats. I accept a variety of formats. I want my money. I don't care if they want to give it to 100 different ways. I get paid. I'll collect it 100 different ways. I can care less. That's all I do is just collect money. But always find a way to suit you. Today I changed today. I added Cozy. I'm going to try to move from Zelle. It's a constant changing thing. I'm still learning about these. I try to find the ones with the least amount of fees. I know Intuit's high fees. So whenever I send out invoices on my Intuit through my invoices, I don't check the Visa or debit card. I only do the bank transfer because that's the cheapest. If they're money tight, they call me up and that's the only way they can pay, then I'll send them out a new invoice and have them pay with the Visa debit card. Because I'm much rather them owing the Visa debit card than owing me. And I just suck up the fee as company overhead and I just leave it alone. But again, if you got a small company and you want to run a little bit tighter ship, then pick one or two formats, just like David and Elaine. You know, they got Cash App, checks, money. Pick a couple, and then that's it. And you know, the cash and the checks, you got to go chase. If you don't want to chase it, and you only got 10 or less, pick an automatic one and just pick that one, and just have them go with that one. And then communicate your methods and establish a rent due date. Whenever I go over my leases, I probably spend about an hour going over my leases, explaining to them what my lease is, and I spend a large portion of that of how to collect rent, because I don't want there any discussion as, oh, I didn't know you can pay that way. You know, I've given flyers. It's in my lease. There's a separate form that I give. You know, if they need a special way of getting me money, I look and see what it is, and I'll do it. I can care less. I don't want to give them any excuse why not to pay me. There's plenty of methods out there that you can pick one, and it's going to work for you. I've got the ones listed there. She's got the Cash App. Lane and David. There's another one. I was trying to remember. There's another website that's used a lot with landlords. There's many out there. So just pick one. Make sure they understand how it works. If they got to set up an account, they're going to be there a long time. Set up an account. And just show you what I did. This is this next one. I did this a long time ago. I'm going to redo this one. I've been kind of behind the ball on my money management as far as collecting rent. But this is what I did for my tenants a long time ago. But I take two other different payment methods than this. I take Zelle, now I take Cozy. So I'm going to change all this up, and I'm going to switch it, and I'm going to let them know, and I'm going to give this to them, that they can collect rent. You know, this, and of course I got the fees there, but a lot of times I don't collect those fees. If they have to pay that way, that's the last way to pay. But you can Cozy, they'll charge that fee and they pay Cozy. You ain't got to worry about the upcharge. The problem with the fee is you got to upcharge all your invoices, and you just don't know when to upcharge. So I just don't even get it. So for that, I'm going to go back to this other slide. I did that pretty fast, but I just wanted to make sure there's enough time for questions, because this is only, I'm going to try to stick to an hour so nobody's on the screen. So from here, I'm going to unmute anybody that's got any kind of questions or any kind of comments. If anybody wants to talk about something in particular, send a message or a note, and then I'll unmute you. There's got to be more people besides Elaine. Let's see here. Carl, are you there?
I think he's talking about the other call.
Oh, I was thinking about the other call. Okay, that's that call. Okay. Did anybody else have any questions? I'm going to unmute anybody.
Is there,
everybody. What's that?
Is there a good app or a great system to give your rental receipts each month that you use?
Well, I mean, I use Intuit. So whenever they pay,
Okay.
I automatically, I do two things. I actually write out a receipt and give them a handwritten receipt if they're there. If they're not there, we send it through email, but it does it automatically with the program I have. But some of this other stuff, it's an automatic receipt. Like if they use Zelle, they can track it. They just pull up the bank account and it's there. And it's really to keep both people honest in case you ever get in a squabble, squeamish in front of the courts and who paid what. All they got to do with Zelle is pull up the bank account. I paid Zelle to them, and that's it. If they give me cash or check, I have to give them a physical receipt. And then if they're not there, then I email it to them. With the other ones, basically it is a receipt. Whenever they make the payment, it is one. So I just started using Cozy. I sort of like it so far. It seemed like it was user-friendly for landlords. So me, I send out a receipt automatically through my Intuit. Whenever they pay it, I receive payments, it gets paid. And then if I have an email for them, I email it to them. If not, we write out a receipt. If they're not there to pick it up, I still write out the receipt and I put it in a file. So some people come in like every 3 or 4 months and collect the receipts and keep it. So that's how I do mine. And if you're able to unmute yourself and then ask a question. I didn't know you was able to do that. So if anybody have any comments or questions, feel free to say something. Was there any questions other than this, going through this? Is anybody having any problems collecting rent? This is a weird time. I've talked to a couple people about collecting rent as far as evictions and stuff like that, 3-day notices. I haven't given out any 3-day notices this month because of the situation we're going through. I'm just going to wait till the next month, see what happens. But most of my tenants are paying. Hopefully that's happening to all my, everybody. But is anybody having any problems collecting rent or coming across any kind of weird situation that that you think the group might be interested in?
Can you hear me now, Jim?
Yes.
Yeah. James, I'm sorry. My wife corrected me. James, not Jim.
Oh, Jim, Jimmy, James, you can call me whatever.
Okay, well, Mr. Whatever. In this new coronavirus thing, is there any laws now about not evicting people because of the situation?
Well, the last I heard was 45 days, and that was about 2-3 weeks ago.
I mean, you can't evict anybody for 45?
Well, you can evict them. They're not going to do the writ of possession, and that's the last part.
Okay.
So I think I spoke to you about this. So my whole point was, and I talked to my business partner, if you can't do, this is a kind of a hard time anyways. You got to feel people out and see the situations. Luckily, I haven't had to be the mean person. I've been really fortunate. All my tenants are doing really well or trying to do well, and they're calling me up ahead of time and let me know the certain situations. So we're keeping track of them, and everything seems to be working out for me.
Good.
But the way it is, the law is, I don't know if it's necessarily law, they just put an executive order out saying, state of Florida, start off with one county down south, and then it just went over the whole state. I think the governor did it. That they're not going to do the writ of possession for 45 days. And I haven't followed up on this, but they're not going to do the writ of possession for 45 days. So you can evict and you can start it, but they're not going to do that. Now, if it's something like, if they're like dealing drugs or doing something crazy, fighting, vandalism, that you can go through and it has nothing to do with the coronavirus. But if it has to do with money, jobs and all that good stuff, and if they're going to say it's related to this, then they're not going to do that last part. If it's a really troubled tenant and you had problems, before the virus, and you're going to have a problem after the virus, I don't think it should be wise to do this, but I believe you can start the eviction, and then that way, when this is all over with and they free up the courts, you don't have to wait as much, and you don't have to wait as long. But I don't think it's a good time to be doing that. I think what we should do is just, unfortunately, if you have one of those problem tenants, just wait till next month. Hope things work out. If it doesn't, address it then. And I'll try to, by next meeting, hopefully we're face to face. I don't know. By next meeting, I'll look up that and find out when you can start back with the evictions. Again, evictions is always my last course of action.
Yeah.
So
we don't have any problems. I just wondering if there had been any laws passed or anything.
There was an executive order. Not going to pass a law. It's just an executive order for 45-day freeze on the writ of possessions.
Okay, good.
So you can do the first part. Yeah, you can do the first part. You just can't do the second part.
Right.
So
Great.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
So hopefully nobody's having problems. Is anybody having problems collecting money or anything like that?
No.
Did anybody else have any questions? Trying to look on here. I don't see many. Okay, you shy people. It's just Elaine and Simone. Elaine earlier. Let me go through my notes here. Yep. Well, I mean, if nobody had any more questions, I don't know if I want to keep you on here for, let me see here. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Thanks for the info. If there's no other questions, what I'll do is I'll leave this up. If there's any particular slide, if you guys want this slide, if you can email me, what I'll do, I'll write down my email here. So you have it. And I can send you the slide and you can look at the traditional methods and the automatic methods, the electronic payment methods. Look at them. So if you want the slide, I'll give it to you. I just threw it together for like 4 slides so I can try to keep it under an hour. And then that way you can kind of, you know, there's a Cash App that they was that David was talking about. And there's several others. I mean, there's lots of other ones. I just use the ones I use because that's how I started. And it's hard to teach old dog new tricks, but I switched over today. And in this changing environment, you have to be able to switch. You have to be able to move. And one of your main things is collecting rent. Without collecting rent, you can't make your payments. So you got to collect rent, make payments, and then keep moving forward. So hopefully everybody is doing good in that regards. So far, I haven't been hit with anything bad, but this isn't over with yet. So we'll see what happens. Also, for you small businesses, if I don't know how you have your organization, your business organized, but there's always that payroll protection plan. It's supposed to be part of it is to help protect you from interest payments for 8 weeks as well. Protects you for your payroll and interest. I'm not really sure how to get that interest money, but once I talk to somebody about it, it might be a viable option to help you get through any slow paying tenants to help you pay some of your interest payments to your mortgage companies or your private mortgage or lenders and all that good stuff. So I'm still checking into all that myself. So hopefully, I don't really need it right now, but I get kind of nervous. So did anybody else have any more questions? Next, just go ahead, I've got a few more minutes. Next month, hopefully we're face-to-face. If we're not, if we're still doing this, then I'm gonna try to get somebody to talk about systems. I want somebody to talk about systems because I think systems is very important. Collecting rent is very important, but if you have a good system in place, Buildium, there's several different systems out there that might help you. I use Intuit, but I'm gonna have somebody else give you their spiel on what they use. I use QuickBooks. QuickBooks, I love it. I'm not gonna change, but I have looked into these other systems and it's something to look into. The other ones are user-friendly. So hopefully next month, if I can work it out, I've got a line to talk to somebody who works for one of these companies, and he's gonna sell you his program, but it just gives you reason why you need a program. I think it's very important to have some sort of program to keep track of your rentals and all that good stuff. So next month, hopefully, if everything works right, I'm going to talk about systems, keeping track of your management of your investment properties, systems being used to help you manage. Without QuickBooks, I would not be able to do it. It's so easy. I got so much time on my hands with QuickBooks that I think you should be using something. Even if you got, you know, 1 or 2, it does make it a lot easier. So next month, we're going to do that. And then the month after that, I'm going to talk about numbers. And that's what I want to talk about is numbers, show you why I like landlording so much, is the numbers behind buy and hold properties and why I like landlording, because nobody loves landlording. I'm probably like one of the fewest guys who actually likes the landlord. But the reason I like landlording is because of the numbers behind landlording. All I do is collect rent. I figured out a way to collect rent, and then the investment itself just keeps growing. And I want to show everybody the numbers that I know to try to help people understand, you know, and the people who on here who doesn't have any investment properties, if you see the numbers, it would give you a little bit more drive to go out and find one, and then hold on to it for 30 years, and then you'll understand. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't want to stay on here too long because thank you, Jim. Hope everything's going good. You and Marcia. And then thank you, Dolores. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Had a small group today, 11. Hopefully we get back to face-to-face. I'm a face-to-face kind of person, but we do have to be safe. If we have to do this again next month, we'll do this again next month. And I'll have a professional on here, and I'll be hosting him to teach about that. And then I still have another person I want to do a face-to-face, how they're doing it. So I want everybody to stay safe, and I hope somebody got something out of this. If you have any kind of questions about any of this, I'll stick my phone number down here. Give me a call. I've got no problems. I love helping out people, landlord. And then I want everybody to be well. If there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Carl. Where's Mary? Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, James. Look forward to seeing you soon.
All right.